Cambridge and Counties are a mid-tier bank here in the UK. They underwent a rather large AI transformation, really taking what historically was a very sort of arduous manual asset finance lending process, and using AI and integration and orchestration to transform how they do business today. And yeah, again, thinking about all the things around auditability and human in the loop. So I'm going to walk through the business problem here, talk a bit about the architecture, show you a short demo of the agent behavior and the underlying pipelines as well that we built that drive the agent. So let's get into the problem statement effectively. So before we sort of touch any AI integration, again, important to sort of lay out and understand how things work today. So we spent time with the bank really understanding, picking apart the human process, and really understanding the world that the asset finance team were living in. A few things really stood out throughout that exercise. Is the number of submissions that were coming into the bank were coming in a lot faster than the team's capacity could actually accommodate. Very manual, largely due to the work required to assemble the data, living across lots of different systems, lots of data formats, PDFs, spreadsheets, Word documents. So very very wide sort of spread of different quality of data as well, and that really slowed the team down. So looking at the sort of key KPIs here. So again, thinking about the business metrics, we need to understand what effectively it took the bank to accommodate the number of loans historically. So typically a 48-hour turnaround from proposal intake through decision to payout. And there's a hard ceiling on, given the fixed capacity of the team, of 3 proposals per day per underwriter. So not really a technology problem on the surface. So really a capacity constraint that existed within the bank. So our job really was to think about, how do we transform this process with integration and AI to unlock value and help increase that throughput capacity within the bank. So breaking that down a bit further, just to help you understand the friction that arose throughout the asset finance lending journey. So starting with the intake, so a typical process where broker proposals come into the bank, the team receive them as an email. So the intake starts with an email. The data is manually extracted from the email context within PDF attachments, cross-referencing different systems where the proposal data lives, the customer sort of records live as well, and assembling that. Then moving to manual validation of that data again, to understand the creditworthiness, counterparty asset, the deal structure, that information, to ensure that the bank can be confident they're able to lend to the customer. And then really what then happens is the assessment effectively. So that is looking at the creditworthiness across the different systems of record, enriching that with credit data. So we'll see in a second 5 or 6 different systems that the bank were relying on to give that understanding of credit and risk and asset intelligence. And then really breaking the structure of the deal down, thinking about the policies and the approval, and then moving to a decision, either proceeding with the credit or rejecting it, generating documentation, etc. So a lot of friction showing up in each part of this process. So again, really taking that and then realizing how we can rethink that in the world of AI. So this is the agent architecture that we have in production today within the bank. So you'll see there in the top left-hand corner a bunch of different tools that existed within the bank that we wanted to work with, given they're already embedded there as a trusted set of technologies. So The interface for the agent, which you'll see in a second, is Microsoft Teams. So the credit underwriting team are initiating the proposal lending through that tool. Their technology stack lives in Azure, so that is looking at access to the OpenAI models that the agents leverage, the log analytics capabilities. So we're able, as you'll see in a second, as a platform to seamlessly integrate, with the sort of heterogeneous architecture that typically exists within enterprises and be flexible around that. So again, initiating the proposals, the first agent that is initiated is an orchestration agent. And what this does is it ensures that any interaction with the agent is routed through a set of steps that look at statefulness of the customer. Is it a new customer? Is it an existing customer? Logging the interaction from the outset there, and then delegating the responsibility down into a series of sub-agents. And the process, as I talked through there, we realize is actually quite a big problem space. And again, going back to the principles that we talked about at the start, what we've done here is broken down that complexity into a series of sub-agents that the orchestration agent delegates the work to. What I'm going to show you in a second is this first intake agent. That's the beginning of the journey. A lot of the time spent within the process is up front. I'll show you that in a second. But effectively, what's happening here is the sub-agents are leveraging a series of MCP tools that we've built that are integrating with a lot of their systems that they use within the banking landscape. So Companies House is the public record for understanding directorship, company accounts, company structure. So really important to call into that system. Within the lending journey, Credit Safe understands key parties and identity verification. Experian, as we know, is quite a popular credit assessment tool. So using that to create the decision report. And then Moody's, which again is a tool that helps the bank understand the probability of default score as well. So very composable. And the idea is beyond this use case that we've built here today, there are other use cases within the bank that we're supporting development of that will ultimately leverage a lot of these different tools as well. So potential for further repeatability of what we've built here. And then you'll sort of see here in the bottom left-hand corner, this legend is really breaking, again, these down to what you'll see in a second, which are effectively pipelines. So very composable ways in which we can integrate with systems, call out to AI models as well. And then lastly, in the right-hand side here, again, important to incorporate the underwriters as part of this journey. So you'll see in a second, they are informed of some of the agent actions. They have the ability to intervene and cross-reference when needed as well.